All right, what is going on, guys? If you came here from my Instagram story, hello. If you're not from my Instagram story, follow me on Instagram. No, I'm kidding. But yeah. So I want to explain what the hell I'm doing. I want to explain this project because I feel like this is like a S tier autism uh abstract concept that I'm coming up with here. But I feel like it's really really impactful, really useful, and I'm kind of just imagine you're in traffic and you're waiting in the traffic in the line, and you're like, oh, I want to get further down this line. I want to hurry up and get to the destination. So you just you just go off the road and you just start driving through houses and shit, and you just find some random way and you just drive through the bush and then just spawn it. I feel like I'm just going off a complete I'm just veering off the path completely and just doing this really crazy abstract idea. But hear me out. I'm cooking with this idea. You guys can do it too. That's why I'm making the video, right? Because I think everyone can do it. And I feel like it's going to be super impactful and super useful for me. And obviously, I don't know that for sure yet, but let's give me 6 months, give me 1 year, and we'll see how my life has changed and if this thing that I'm building now is going to help me. So what the hell am I doing? Okay, so think about your experiences that you've had in your life, right? Every experience you've ever had, you've had all these memories, you've had all these emotions, you've had all these experiences, and you've made all these decisions in your life. You have all these beliefs that you have all these ways that you make decisions. Let's say something happened to you right now, like some experience or something. You would have a different decision about it. You would make a different decision depending on who you were, right? Based on your past experiences, based on your values, based on everything you know, right? So you have this brain in here. And when somebody asks you a question, let's say somebody came up to you and they asked you, if you're surrounded by five men and they're trying to rob you, and one has a baseball bat and one has a knife and one has an apple and one has a spoon and one has a rifle, what are you gonna do? And they give you a whole scenario. How do you come to the conclusion for that scenario? Well, you go back into your brain, you start searching through your brain for all the memories and all the information you have on knives and spoons and apples and guns and stuff, and you visualize the idea in your mind, and you're like, that's what I do. And then you'd have a different answer if you're some super big buff guy and in your past experiences you've beat up 10 dudes at once, or if you're I don't know, a lady, or maybe a weaker guy, and you've had a fight before and you've lost, your answers would be different, right? Anyway, that's a very abstract example, but my whole idea is, when you're faced with a new experience, you index through your brain, right? Every experience you make, you're making subconsciously through an index in your brain. And all this index and this framework you've created is based on all your past experiences and your emotions and stuff. And, for example, I was driving today through traffic, and I was just in my normal ass car, and I'm just driving through the normal ass suburbs, right? And there's just normal cars everywhere, whatever. And no supercars, no Ferraris. Yesterday, I was driving in my suburb and I saw a dude driving a McLaren, right? And I'm not saying that your goal needs to be financial success, but what's the difference between the dude driving with the McLaren versus all the other cars? What's really the difference? If you might think, oh, okay, maybe he was given the money, maybe he had good opportunities in life, maybe he's really smart, maybe he's worked really hard. All true, all could be true. But what is one fundamental thing that has to be true about this guy? Well, he has to think differently to other people, and he has to be taking other actions, right? Assuming he didn't just get gifted this McLaren or whatever, he didn't get gifted this supercar. His life is substantially different to all the other people in the world, average people. I'm not saying average as in bad, I'm just saying average person, right? His life is a substantial outlier to the average person's life. He gets to experience things that other people don't experience. He gets to do things that other people don't do. He has things that other people don't have. But why? Because he thinks in a way that other people do not think, right? At the end of the day, all your actions are based on your beliefs, and your beliefs are the way you think. And all the ways you think and all your experiences and all your beliefs are based on your past experiences and all the emotions you had because of those past experiences and all the decisions you made due to those emotions, and they compound, right? So like you made your first decision, you felt an emotion, you had an experience, then you get like up to like 1,000 days of existence, or like 10,000 days of existence, and then you've stacked up all these experiences and all these emotions and all these decisions, and then the next one is based on the past of all of those. But when we make a decision in our life, when we're trying to think in our brain, like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not successful? Or like, let's say, why am I failing to like have a good relationship with my mom? Or like, why is this problem happening in my life? Just like a random thing, right? And you're trying to think, and you're trying to think, and you're trying to think, but it's hard for you to see your entire mind in one go, right? It's hard for you to see every single experience you've ever had, every single emotion you've ever felt. It's hard for you to like just like visualize, like, oh, here's all my beliefs. Here's the way I react in every single situation. So this is why this is happening. And like, if I change this belief, then this would happen. And the reason I even have this belief is because of this situation that happened in the past. So like, I need to reinterpret this situation so I can change this belief, so I can take a new action, I can get a new result, right? That's the process, right? But it's hard to do that. It's hard to just like index into your brain and just like think of everything that's ever happened to you, right? But this is where my idea comes in. What if you wrote out every single experience you have ever had, every single memory you can think of? You write out every single impactful big decision you ever made in your life and why you thought you made it, right? What if you could just like go back inside your brain and just see everything all at once? You had every single memory you ever had at your fingertips. Every single decision you've ever made was all just there at your fingertips at all times, and you could just see it. It was just right there, and you could view it, and you could be like, that's why this is happening. That's why this is happening. Because at the end of the day, if we want to be driving a McLaren, I'm not saying you have to be driving a McLaren. My whole point is like, if you want to have a non-average life, if you want to have things that other people don't have, experience things that other people don't experience, be more than average, then you have to think differently, and you have to change the beliefs you have and the way you think about the world, right? And the best way to do that is analyze your entire brain. So that is what I'm trying to do here. I'm writing out, I've got to 10,000 words, right? I wrote about 5,500 words of my entire life story, draft one, right? Obviously, it's not my entire life story. My life story would be like 10 billion words or something. But it was just like a bunch of events that I thought were important and like the details about them or whatever. Next, I'm making a folder, and it's every single relationship I've ever had. Not as in like romantic relationship, like as in like my mom, my dad, my friends, my cousins, whatever, like every human relationship I've ever had. Then I'm going to do on every single addiction I've ever had. Then I'm going to do on every single hobby I've ever had. Every single movie I've liked and why. Every single time I was sad. Every single time I was happy. Every single time I felt inspired. Every single time. I'm just going to go through every single experience I've ever had in my entire life to the best of my abilities, right? I'm just going to keep going. And this is going to take me, obviously it's not going to take one day. It's going to take me probably a few months. But the idea is I will eventually have on this Google Drive a document of everything, my entire brain documented on the drive, right? And then what can I do with that? Plug it into AI. Now, before you say, Mo, don't give all your experiences to AI, like it's gonna take advantage of you or something. Or like, don't share all those things, it's like private information and you're sharing it with AI. Like, sorry, like, I don't care. Like, if you don't want to share your life with AI, like, fair enough, whatever. But like, I don't think they have some malicious intent. And if they do have some malicious intent, well, so be it. And I'm going to fall prey to it. And there goes my freedom or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen if I do that, right? I don't think anything bad's going to come of it. But I don't care. I'm just going to do it anyway. And we're going to see what happens. But the point is, once you have all the information of all your experiences, all your memories, all the emotions you felt, all the decisions you've made, you can feed the whole thing through AI. And what's AI great at? Pattern recognition. It can just go take all the data, look at the entire thing and be like, and it's going to be able to basically connect every single dot that you couldn't possibly connect in your brain because you just don't have the compute power in your mind to do it, right? So it's going to be like, like you might come to it with a question and you might be like, I'm struggling with this problem. Every time somebody, I'll give you one actually. because I already ran some of it through AI, just like test if my system's working or not, right? And I just ran like the life story one and some documents of people, because I had only made a few, through the AI, and I was like, look at this life story and tell me like the three flaws in my thinking that you think I have that are holding me back from changing or being successful, or something like that, right? And one of the number one things it said was, whenever you have a feeling that you don't want to feel, instead of feeling the feeling, you like externalize it and change the way you believe the world works, or you believe somebody works, instead of just feeling the feeling. And it's so true. I totally do it, right? Like let's say I have an idea, like this idea right now, and let's say I go and tell my friend, right? And I say, hey bro, like this is my crazy idea I came up with, and I'm like super proud of it. But then he comes back to me and he says, man, that's the fucking stupidest idea I've ever heard. That's not gonna work. That's dumb. And that's gonna make me feel sad, and that's gonna make me feel embarrassed and discouraged, right? But I don't want to feel those feelings. So instead of just feeling those feelings and then just carrying on with my life, I instead change something outside of myself. I change a belief. I change like my external reality. So I might be like, I might think in my head, instead of feeling those feelings, I'm like protecting myself from feeling those feelings. And I might instead say like in my head, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot. And he's just jealous of me. So now the worldview of my external world has changed. Like now I think my friend is dumber, and I think my friend is jealous of me, when maybe he just thought the idea was a bad idea, right? But I didn't want to feel those feelings. And I've done this throughout my whole life, and I continue to do it. And now putting it on AI, I was like, damn, this is so true, right? And it's affected the beliefs that I have about the world. Like I've made like fundamental beliefs about the way I think the world works, like probably incorrectly, just because I was scared to feel heavy emotions that I needed to feel in those moments. Anyway, that is just one example of like 1 trillion possibilities, or 1 trillion questions that you could come up with. Additionally, this is the most efficient way I could possibly create a personal brand, right? If you think about it, a personal brand is just your commoditized experiences, stories, and way you solve problems, right? And like your values and stuff. If you're like selling a coaching program and you have a personal brand, that's all it is. You say, here's my story, like here's what my life's been like, here's my unique experiences, here's what I've learned from it. Like if you want to join my program, this is the method I use, and then I'll teach you my method or whatever. And then and if somebody resonates with your story, then they'll buy it, right? So if I have my entire life in a document, then man, I can just do a million things. I can be like, yo, ChatGPT, give me 10 video ideas specifically about this exact like topic of experiences I've had in my life, and how I solved them in the past, and why I chose that idea, and blah, 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 blah. Obviously, it would be good for me to use my brain, and I will use my brain. I'm not just going to rely on AI. But man, it would be a fucking superpower if my brain was pretty much digitalized. So that's what I'm going for. This is the idea I'm going for. And like those are like just 2 examples of how it could be used, right? There's like infinite more examples of how this could be useful. But those are just 2. Let me think of one more. I'm going to think of one more because I want to give one more to the video. I know another one. You could be like, yo, ChatGPT, or like whatever AI you're putting it into. Like what thing haven't I tried in life that you think I would actually really enjoy, and I just have never even thought about trying it? And it's going to look through all your past, all the emotions you've had, all the experiences you've had, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to be like, oh, you should try this thing because of this. And it's probably going to be pretty accurate if you've accurately put in all your past, right? And also, even if you don't end up using this for AI, this is just like a super useful activity to do. Like I've been doing it. I've been writing down. I was like, damn, like I've just been coming to all these realizations because I'm just like skimming through my entire existence. And I'm like, oh, wow, like I did this because of this. And like I shouldn't have done that, because it just makes you reflect on your life. Yeah, and I understand like not everyone has time to just like sit there for 6 hours and just like write about their entire life on a computer. I understand that, but yeah, I just wanted to share this idea with you guys. I think it's a really useful idea, and yeah, so I'm basically trying to digitalize my brain and all my everything in my brain, and then I feel like that's just gonna be so powerful once I finally finish it. Anyway, the whole like system is probably going to change over time, but right now I'm just like writing down all my memories, all my experiences, all the things that have ever happened in my life, like onto a bunch of Google Docs and like in a Google Drive, and then you can link the Google Drive to ChatGPT, for example, because that's what I'm using. But yeah, I mean the system will probably evolve over time, but that's just where I'm starting. So yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys. I think it's going to be a really valuable thing for me to create. And yeah, because really, like you're not creating the AI. The AI already exists. The system that processes the data already exists. But you're just creating the database, right? Which is all your experiences and everything. And whether or not you want to share that with AI or whether or not you want to keep it, I still think it's a useful exercise either way. So yeah, just want to share that with you guys. I know this video really wasn't about any of my past stories or anything. This was more just like something that I did today. I thought I wanted to share it. But yeah, so hopefully you like that video. Give it a go because I think it's really useful if you have some spare time. Like let's say you even just have like 2 hours spare in your day. Just maybe be like, what's like the three times I felt the most like authentically myself, for example, and then just like write it in detail, just like account the experience and just write it all down and like re-feel the emotions and rethink out what happened. And you'll probably just come to like some like random useful realizations. But yeah, anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.